Sure, it's weird. Look, the regular button right here, but the rest of it snaps. That's really weird. Hello friends. So today, I thought I would go over a 1-year sort of review of keto for the losing 115 pounds on keto. I'm gonna try to straighten up and look like a professional. I'm not though. I don't know what I'm talking about. So 1 year on keto, and it was a pretty incredible journey the last year. I have, like I said, I lost 115 pounds, which is really cool. Pretty wild to see a lot of the picture comparisons that have I've put together over the last year. Pretty nuts. So going into this diet, I really wanted to make sure that I was able to stick on it. And so the reason why I chose keto over something like what Amy is doing with Weight Watchers is because I really felt strongly that I would be more successful on the keto diet than I would be on Weight Watchers. And I know that because in the past I have very much used the point system against itself, meaning I often would be like, oh, I have 7 points left today, let's eat a bag of M&Ms. And so that's not really healthy food, right? I was just still eating garbage all the time. So I really wanted to make sure I was successful doing this dieting thing. And so that's why I chose ketos, because I had done it before, back when it was called Atkins. Then I moved into more of just a low carb diet. And the really cool thing is years and years ago, I had met with my doctor multiple times about my weight and about how I was really frustrated with trying to lose weight and all that sort of stuff, and he actually recommended a keto diet for me. He said, hey, have you heard of low carb before? Why don't you go do that? There's this thing called the keto diet, and I think that would be really helpful for you, specifically because at the time I was struggling with really bad acid reflux and constantly being sick with pneumonia all the time. And I don't know if we talked about that on the channel before, but when we first got married many years ago, it'll be 6 in September, which is wild. So September of 2014 we got married, and we came back, we went to Maui for 2 weeks, and 2 days before we were supposed to come back, I got horribly sick with something. And so that left me sort of on and off sick for the next 1.5 years, where I would get pneumonia or bronchitis on a regular basis. It was something would happen and I would be really sick. And so I basically spent, like I said, the first 1.5 years of our marriage sick a lot on antibiotics all the time, dealing with an inhaler that I had to take around with me, and it was a rough go. And so what's really fun is since we've moved to Southern California, I don't have those issues anymore. I haven't needed antibiotics for stuff like that. Just the 2 times that we've been sick, it was from traveling. So we went to Washington one time and I got really sick up there and brought it home with me. And then we went to Florida one time, the same thing. We got sick on the way there and came back with it. So just kind of interesting, but yeah, so that was something that I had to deal with early on. And so my doctor very much recommended keto, and he said, hey, do this thing. It's gonna, I really think it'll be good for you. Now, I didn't do it obviously right away. I tried a few times, but I wasn't really freshly wholly committed to doing the thing. So I wasn't committed to dieting. I wasn't committed to life changes. I just sort of did it like out of, I think, guilt, for the situation I was in. And so, but with this time we really wanted to make sure, hey, this is what we're gonna do. It's time for a change. It's time. Let's do this. And so I really think the first successful thing that I'm gonna say that might help you, it definitely helped me, was being committed to it for a very specific set of time. So for us, it was 6 months, no cheating, 6 months on the diet. Let's give it 6 months, and if we both hate it, it's only 6 months that we wasted, right? And for the most part, we're probably better for it than we were in the beginning. And what happened after the 6 months, we wanted to keep going. And so we saw such huge results that we're like, let's do this, let's keep going. And so, sorry, I talk with my hands a lot. So if I'm clapping or doing this a lot, it's just, I'm very a hands talker. So, But yeah, so we wanted to be committed. So that's like a huge tip I have, is being successful on especially keto. Now, Weight Watchers, you could probably sort of finagle the points a little bit more if you want an occasional cheat meal. But with keto, it's really hard to do. If you're cheating once or twice a week on keto, you're not on keto, because keto is something that your body has to adjust to the point where you're in the ketosis. And so if you're like, oh, I do keto for 3 days and then I do a cheat meal and then I do keto for 3 days, your body's never going to get into keto and it's never going to do what it's supposed to do. So if you're unfamiliar, ketogenesis essentially is what happens is your body changes the way it burns fat and uses fat as energy. And so that's why a lot of people really like it, is because I have a lot of fat because I was so big, and it really burned things down and I got more energy out of that. And so instead of your body sort of using the normal ways of using like sugar and that kind of stuff, it burns all the fat down. And so one thing about keto is no sugar, which I think is great for me, because sugar is a huge downfall of mine. It is the thing that I think I struggle with the most, is sugary, sort of sweet toothy stuff. And so I love things like ice cream and candy bars, and I haven't drank normal sugary soda in probably 15 years. I cut that out the very first time I ever did the Atkins diet, like back in 2003, I think I did it. And since then I've just been diet soda all the way. I don't, occasionally would have a Sprite or something like that, but usually just when I was really sick and needed it. But for the most part, I don't drink sugary stuff, and that's one thing that I am glad that I don't do. But the things like ice cream is a huge problem for me. I love ice cream, and I love, sugary cereal is like the thing that I was eating a ton before we started dieting. And so that's just like, something that I struggled with. I still do occasionally have a problem with like, ooh, I really want this and I can't get it out of my brain. And so, especially now that we're pregnant and Amy is wanting weird stuff all the time, I'm very much having to mentally fight myself on a regular basis. And she's been very supportive, and I really appreciate that. And she's giving me sort of a leeway with some things, but I really am trying to stay focused and laser focused on what I want to make sure that I lose this weight. I really want to make sure by the time that the bundle of joy gets here, that I am able to let them, like, I want to be down to my goal weight by then, with the ability to just have the energy for what I need. And so it's very important to me. I always, for me personally, had a hard time with just the idea of not being able to be fully active with my children. I struggled with the idea of like, if I'm going to be a fat dad my whole life, I want to make like, it made me kind of sad to think about that. And so I think for me, a really big motivation factor for losing all this weight really is my future, what I want to do with my kids, like playing with them and running around with them and not being tired from that. And so that's like a huge motivating factor for me. That's another thing, motivation. If you have the right motivation, it's pretty much guaranteed that you can lock into it. So being committed to it, staying motivated during it, finding that one thing that you feel like that's if it's whatever it is, use it as your motivation. Whether it's like, hey, I want to lose weight for health. Hey, I want to lose weight because I want to look at the beach. Hey, I'll lose weight because of this. Those things are just motivations. They're not, just because someone says, oh, I want to lose, I want to lose about 50 pounds so I can look good in Hawaii in 6 months. Like, do it. Like, why? Don't let anybody tell you that that's weird. Like, just do it. And so I know a lot of people try to lose weight around their wedding, and because they want to look good in the wedding dress, or they want to look good in their tux. Like, that's an awesome thing. Like, do it. Your wedding is once. Just do it. So so the motivation is really important, and being committed is, especially in keto, super important. And so some successful things that I had this year too, with the loss of 115 pounds. That's crazy. So my starting weight was 335 pounds. Now I'm 5'8", so that means 300. And the crazy thing about it is, a lot of people have been telling me lately, especially like when I saw people that hadn't seen me for a while, a lot of them, their first initial reaction was, you look shorter. And And I always thought that was really weird. Like, why do I look shorter? Like, I'm the same height as I was before. If not, maybe I'm standing taller now. Like, I don't know. But they're telling me that, and I think I figured out why. It's because when I was carrying all that weight, I carried it pretty, you know, a lot of it was in my stomach, but I did carry it kind of evenly throughout me. And so I think a lot of people, I was a bigger presence in a room for people, I think. And, you know, I loomed over a little bit more. And now that I'm shrunk down, I think there's less of me to look at. And I think people maybe think I'm shorter. I don't know. It's just like a weird illusion thing. So I started at 335, and that's really big and huge for a guy who's only 5'8". And I really I struggled with a lot of stuff. I struggled with back pain, with knee pain. So walking around Disneyland was really difficult for more than probably an hour because I would start getting knee pain. And just being on my legs for that long, specifically knee pain and specifically back pain. So what really sucked was I was once a year I'd throw out my back where I couldn't really move now. In some of our past videos with the big road trip videos that we did that sort of spurned this whole thing when we went to Florida and back from Southern California, and you know we were eating a lot of junk and we were staying in the car a lot, and so when we got to Disney World it was like, oh, we're gonna be able to walk around and blah 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 blah, and then I threw out my back and it was awful. I was in so much pain from that point until basically April or May, until I started losing more and more weight. So we started in March of this last year. March 3rd was our first sort of our weigh-in day and food day stuff. And so then I went a month later to go see the doctor because I was still in so much pain, even after losing 30 pounds. It still hurt. And so I went and they x-rayed me and they told me what was wrong. Essentially, it's my pelvic bones or whatever sort of move and get out of whack. And so it's hard to describe it without an x-ray in front of me, but basically it's something that a lot of pregnant women get after giving birth, and they just have to deal with some back pain. I am not a pregnant woman, and so I have it, and so it's I get a little bit rare for guys to have it, but I don't have any other issues with my back. So it's not really my back, it's more my pelvic, but it's in the back region. It's like the lower, near the kidneys is where the pain was always at. And so it freezes up to the point where I couldn't do anything. And so it was really frustrating. So I went to the doctor and they said, there's nothing major, you don't need surgery, just lose weight. And so I continued to lose weight. And within the first 65 to 70 pounds, I almost realized, oh, I don't have any back pain anymore. And then since I started running, no back pain. And so I'm very excited about that. That's one thing I always worried about, is bending over and picking up my kids, because sometimes I'd bend over and pick my nephew up when he was younger and it would be like, oh, that didn't feel so good. Never really fully threw it out, but it always was like a strain on me. And so I'm really excited to know when I bend over and pick up my kids that I won't have that issue. And so that's just another exciting thing that I got to deal with the fallout of losing 115 pounds. And so some of the other things this year, just mentally checking myself with certain things, like allowing myself to eat certain foods at certain times, knowing, hey, these foods, are not that big of a deal. So some of the cheat days that we had were really important because they definitely helped me. And so once I sort of cheated, I was right back into it. And that's really important too, is to be successful at losing weight, you have to give yourself days off in order to sort of mentally take a break from thinking about it all the time. But you also have to know going into those that you will have to, it's like hey, today I don't have to worry about it. Today I can eat whatever I want with no feeling of guilt, and just do what you need to do, and then knowing the next day I'm back at the grind, doing it, doing the weight loss, doing the exercise, whatever it is. And so I think a key into that is just knowing and planning for it. Planning way ahead of schedule. You don't want to willy-nilly be like, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to cheat. Because for me, I know that is not a good thing. If I decide today that tomorrow I'm going to cheat, that means next Tuesday I might cheat. That means the following week I might cheat. So I need for me, it's really important to sort of plan those out really, really far ahead of in advance and say, Amy's birthday is coming up this month. Cheat day, no problem. When we went down to San Diego, that was sort of a thing that we did last second, and I think out of just necessity of wanting to go do something fun for New Year's, but also knowing that I had been struggling so much mentally, and I was gonna give in. It was like one of those things where if I didn't do it, I was gonna think about it constantly and get to the point where I might just binge and do it secretly or something. And so, because I'm still fighting this stuff all the time too. I'm still fighting the guy inside of me that wants to come back and say, hey, whoa, just give me all the good cereal and eat all the candy bars, like all that sort of stuff. So I'm always fighting myself with that. And I really think that like 95% of this is definitely, it's a mental thing. Like you have to overcome those feelings of like needing food for a comfort or needing food as like a control. Because in some cases, you know, there'd be points in my life where everything around me was chaos and out of control, and all I wanted to do was binge eat just junk food all the time because it made me, you know, feel like I was in control of things. And so that's like a huge problem, especially if you're trying to lose weight, is breaking down and being like, oh, I can't do this, and like, you know, binging, and then all of a sudden you've gained like 5 or 6 pounds of the hard work that took months to get off. And so for me, I know that I just recently sort of struggled with that a little bit with the whole finding out we're pregnant and wanting to celebrate and all that sort of stuff, and everything sort of broke down around me. And so I'm now in this sort of thing kind of by myself where Amy's supporting me, but she's not necessarily exactly on a diet either, which is, she shouldn't be because she's pregnant. And so, yeah, it's definitely been a little bit of a struggle just the last couple of weeks, but I'm really starting to feel it again. I'm starting to feel the pull of like, hey, it's, you know, you got a few months to go, try to hit it hard, hit your goal weight, and then you can take a break. And not necessarily just binge on junk food, but like take a break from needing to be on the keto diet, and I can take a little time off and when the baby's here and sort of just like live with that instead of worrying about what I'm going to eat. Because a lot of times, especially when we go out to eat, it's like, what can I have? You know, like we went out to eat the other day, and it was I knew it was going to be a struggle, and so I had a cheeseburger because I knew I can't think about this. We're trying to celebrate, we're having fun, and so that's on me and stuff like that. But like I know that that's something I struggle with, and so we talked about it, and we had a really long conversation about, hey, you know, for me, in order to be successful more, I need you to be a little bit harder on me and say, you can't give me the opportunities and the outs to say, oh, sure, you can have a cheat meal. I need you to be like, do you really need the cheat meal? Because for me, I don't. And so it's really important that if you have a person in your life that can do that for you, that will do it without being mean, but do it with compassion and do it with just someone who can kind of keep you accountable, do it. And if you need to do what we do, which is start a YouTube channel and start putting it out there, or start an Instagram account and put it out there, like if that's helpful for you, do it, because there's enough people out there that will help you along the way too. Like we get so many comments from all of you guys who watch our videos with encouragement and helpful tips and all that sort of stuff, and we love that because it really does help us. It really does mentally help us get through, and just like we feel the love and the support of that, and it's amazing. And so I think, you know, there really these few things are probably the most important, where you get committed to it, you have your motivation, and just finding that person that can really help you, or finding a community that can really help you. If it's your parents, or if it's your sister, your brother, whoever it is, you know, your significant other, make sure that they're there and they can be like with love and not necessarily with judgment, because the judgment is more of a negative feeling. And so you don't want the negativity of, oh, that person's going to judge me for what I'm eating, therefore I'm going to hide it. But you want somebody who's going to be like, hey, I noticed that you're struggling with this. What can we do to help you get over that? And so I think that's super important. Losing weight is not just a me thing. It really is a thing that you have to involve other people in, because it's not only really good for you, but it's exciting that people can see that sort of change in you. And it's just, it's such a great experience and great feeling losing that weight, looking back at pictures and saying, oh my gosh, I can't believe that was me a year ago. It doesn't even feel like me a year ago. And so, oh, my eye is itchy. Anyway, so yeah, you know, I didn't really have an idea of what I was going to talk about in this video, but I just want to say, like, thank you so much for supporting me and Amy through this last year of weight loss. I'm going to continue, obviously. I really want to hit my goal. I have 40 more pounds to lose to hit my goal weight. And I really think that just through this whole thing, I've really changed and like grown into a new person. I think it's really awesome. I think it's fun, and it's so much fun to change clothes and see going down in sizes and stuff like is really fun. Yeah, that's another thing. Just side note, clothes stuff is pretty fun when you're losing weight. Now, I don't recommend going out and buying new wardrobes every single time you're shrunk down a size. I had a hard time with that. I did it too much with the 2X stuff. I went and bought crazy amount of shirts that I don't wear anymore because they're all too big. I actually put one on the other night and was like, oh man, this is really big. Like, I don't think I could wear this in public anymore, but this is cool. This is an extra large. I'm getting closer to a large. I have a large t-shirt now that fits me okay. It's still muffin tops a little bit on the top, but it just depends on the pants I wear. Some of my pants, the 34 jeans that I have now are, they don't go up as high as some of my other pants, and so I muffin top just a hair, but that's fine. I mean, that's gonna happen. I still have a lot of rolls to get rid of, and so, anyways, it's been an exciting, awesome year, and I really appreciate you guys and the support that you've given us and me, and just, the next 40 pounds are going to be a lot harder than the next year probably was, the last year was. The 115 will feel like nothing compared to the 40 that I'm about to dive into, and so with the fact that I can't run right now, which is really frustrating, and all of the new changes around here with the baby stuff, and Amy eating a lot of basic foods, like, I'm struggling a little bit, but I know that I can get through it. I know that I can do it, and I'm really excited to share how I'm doing next month with the next update and see how everything went. So thanks for joining me today. If you're new, hit the subscribe button. A lot of changes around here for good things. We're pregnant, so you'll be seeing more pregnant things, but you'll also be seeing weight loss stuff from me, and possibly weight gain stuff for Amy. We never know. And a lot of other things. We're going to start doing stuff around the house, and we figured, hey, why not we record it too? Like when we build the nursery, or when we do, or not build, but like remodel. The room I'm currently in will be the nursery. This is our work room, but we're going to move everything back into the living room and work from there, which is fine. We have enough room for it. So, but we're excited about the next couple of months, and just a lot of changes around here that we're excited about beyond just weight loss stuff. So we appreciate your support. If you're new, hit the subscribe button and give us a thumbs up. And if you have any words of encouragement for me, or any new keto recipes that you'd love for me to cook and show you guys, I will greatly do that. I'm looking for some new ones so that I can make some new videos, and hopefully continue this journey and be very successful before the baby's born. So thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.